What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about Sundial stock because this stock, ticker symbol SNDL, is just getting so cheap, it's ridiculous. And it even has good news coming out for it today regarding the US expansion into the US and legalization. So we're going to take a look at all of that. We're going to take a look also at this Sundial order that I'm placing right now. As long as you guys hit that like button in the description, hit the like button. I'm about to buy 1,000 shares of Sundial as soon as you do. So click that like button real quick. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do it. 3, 2, 1. And now I'm sending in this order. And there we go. We just got another 1,000 shares of Sundial because it is so darn cheap. That's what I think about it, at least. I think that it's been pushed down way too far if you look over the course of the past year, especially after this most recent bump up on their amazing earnings call. They've been pushed down lower than ever before, at least ever since the most recent spike. We've been hitting all-time lows yesterday. I think it's just crazy. I think Sundial is far too cheap. And there are a couple of reasons why, and we're going to look at those in just a second. So first, the thing that we must talk about is, will Sundial be acquiring more companies in 2022? At least that's what this Motley Fool article is explaining it might do. But a more important news article that came out today for Sundial, actually regarding acquisitions of companies, is this Sunstream Investment Corp announcement. And we're going to break this down because this is actually very important for Sundial stock and their expansion into the US and could directly relate to what Motley Fool is talking about, the acquisition of other companies. So forget the Motley Fool article, but Sunstream Investment Corp, a joint venture sponsored by Sundial Growers, and we're going to talk about their ownership in Sunstream in just a minute. Today announced that it has submitted a draft registration statement on a confidential basis to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, for a proposed IPO or initial public offering of its common stock. And the number of shares, it is notable that the number of shares of common stock to be sold and the price range for the proposed offering have not yet been determined. Okay, this is very early stages of the IPO process. But the purpose of the offering is to use the net proceeds, therefore, to invest primarily in the debt of U.S. cannabis companies across the cannabis industry. So very important right there, U.S. cannabis companies. That's the goal of what Sunstream is doing, and it is a joint venture sponsored by Sundial. We're going to break that down in a second, but Sunstream intends to commence the public offering in the first quarter of 2022, as long as the SEC review process goes well. So this is very exciting news, right? This came out just earlier today at 8:30, and Sundial initially didn't react too strongly to it. In fact, you can see 8:30 right here. We barely moved up on this news. We moved up just a fraction of a cent, it looks like, and not very much at all. And we actually ended up downtrending come the market open. But then as soon as trading really commenced, a couple minutes in to the trading day, we started pumping up and have experienced some volatility since, right? We haven't gotten down, I don't believe, to the lows that we saw yesterday of 55.85 cents, but we got pretty darn close at 57 cents. We bounced off of that twice on the first bar of the day, and then later on, we bounced off of that after we had rallied a bit, and now we're kind of consolidating around 58, close to 59 cents. So hopefully we're going to start moving up with Sundial. I know that people are sick and tired of the pain that we've been experiencing, especially after this most recent run-up gave us a ton of hope that Sundial would actually be uptrending. However, that wasn't the case. Hopefully we'll start moving up soon. There are a bunch of reasons why we ought to. So first, I'll just break down Sundial's ownership real quick in Sunstream, right? This joint venture that is going to be IPOing in the first quarter of 2022 that Sundial has a big investment in, okay? And this is from July 7th, 2021. This article is basically saying that Sundial Growers has increased its commitment to Sunstream to $538 million from its previously announced commitment of $188 million. So they have a $538 million interest in Sunstream. So impressive stuff. It's a pretty big percentage of their portfolio, but that's because Sunstream is an investment company. So, right, they're buying up other cannabis-related stocks. So it's not all literally just in Sunstream, right? Sunstream is taking that money and then diversifying it for Sundial. So that's the deal with Sunstream. And Sunstream, it is worth mentioning, is a joint venture between Sundial and the SAF group. So it's not just Sundial alone working on this. Now, an interesting statistic regarding Sundial is actually the institutional ownership. And this is something that I've noticed that over the past year, we have had a dramatic increase in institutions buying into Sundial, more specifically over the past couple of months. And you actually see this chart is basically going month by month and showing you how many shares of Sundial are owned by institutions. And you can see that in June and July and August and September, we saw massive increases in the institutional ownership. Even in November, we're sitting at a pretty high institutional ownership rate of over 100 million shares. However, we did see a big blip during September and October, I believe. And I think that potentially that was because maybe some insiders knew that we were going to have a good earnings call. Maybe some were betting that we would have a good earnings call, and they saw this big run up coming. And then maybe they were some of the ones who were selling near the top, because you can see the institutional ownership dropped come November, right? It dropped pretty big. And potentially that's because some institutions were selling around here for a fairly large profit, right? Because Sundial had not been up that high for the past while. It got to pretty high heights over the past couple of months. This is likely where a lot of the buying took place over the course of those 2 months. So they did have an opportunity to sell out of their investment and make a decent chunk of money. But there are still, and notably, over 100 million shares owned by institutions. A lot of institutions are holding Sundial. Likely some of the institutions that care more about long-term gains are long on Sundial, right? The institutions that want short-term gains, we're going to talk about those. Those are the shorts, okay? And they are actually making a killing on Sundial, right? Because you can see Sundial at pretty much all-time lows since these shorts have really come in. If you look over the past year, you can see Sundial has just been pushed down and down and down further and further. And shorts are in a pretty profitable position right now, right? And even today, more shorts are coming in, which I think is absolutely insane. I am surprised every time I see the short interest change rise on Sundial stock, because it is such a promising company with so much cash on hand and such a low current valuation. It just seems completely ridiculous that more shorts are coming in, but they are. So 1.73% short interest change on Sundial stock as of today, bringing us up to 14.48%. Almost 15% of the free float being shorted, just about 300 million shares, coming in a little shy at 297 million, and a 97.29% utilization rate. So pretty much all the shorts who can get in on this are in on this. We only have about 2.5% shares left that could potentially be shorted compared to what has been already. So Sundial has just been decimated over the past couple of weeks from the heights that it saw on this earnings call. And it's really unfortunate that a lot of shorts are coming in, but this is only going to lead to a bigger short squeeze when we actually get those shorts covering, if they don't manage to slip out for a big profit beforehand, right? It's very possible that come the end of the year or the beginning of 2022, a lot of shorts may end up wanting to cover Sundial stock slowly but surely, right? They may want to slowly start covering their positions, realizing that legalization is likely on the way, that it's likely coming sometime in 2022, hopefully earlier on before the November elections. Politicians may want to do that to ramp up their numbers and to get some more people excited about the elections, but you never know for sure. But institutions, on the other hand, may want to start covering before then, even if there is some uncertainty regarding legalization. They may want to start covering and getting out of their positions, because they really have pushed Sundial down to such an incredibly low valuation. It's not even justifiable, in my opinion, how low Sundial is trading when you look at how much cash and cash equivalents they have on the balance sheet, about $1.2 billion worth as of was last reported last November. And they've got a $100 million share buyback that they have yet to do. So they can still buy back $100 million worth of shares. So it is really crazy to me that institutions have felt comfortable pushing this so low and are feeling comfortable still entering even more. In my opinion, it's very possible that some institutions are trying to push Sundial down to scare out some retail investors, right? I think they want to get retail investors out and potentially grab up those shares, cover their shorts, and then grab up some long positions potentially right before legalization happens. It's very possible. We've already seen institutional ownership going up over the past year, so it's possible this will continue to increase over the next couple of months, and especially during the beginning of 2022. This chart is going to be very important to decide what institutions are doing. But we'll see what happens with Sundial stock over the short term, right? I'm not worried about these price decreases. They are just opportunities for me to be buying up more shares of Sundial for cheaper. And something else that I've been doing is also selling the 50-cent 2023 put contracts on Sundial, right? You can sell these put contracts, and obviously this isn't financial advice. I'm not recommending it to anyone, but you're essentially selling these contracts for 19 or 20 cents per share. And that means that if Sundial is below 50 cents per share, because they're the 50-cent strike price put contracts, if Sundial is below that price by January 20th of 2023, then you're agreeing to buy Sundial for 50 cents per share, but they're paying you 19 or 20 cents. So you're really getting it for around 31 or 30 cents per share. So it's a great deal. If Sundial does happen to continue to dip over the course of the next year, which I find to be incredibly unlikely, then you get to pick up some cheap Sundial. If it doesn't and it goes up, then you just get to collect this premium. So it seems like a pretty good deal to me. That's what I've been up to lately with Sundial stock. Obviously not a financial recommendation for you guys, but it is something that I've been considering and am interested in doing, potentially selling more of, especially if we continue to dip and those options get more expensive, then I would consider selling even more. So that's what I've got for you on Sundial, and hopefully you aren't hurting too much from the pain that we've been experiencing over the past couple of weeks after this most recent Sundial run-up. I know institutions are really really making the markets bloody as of late, especially for a lot of the memeier stocks. But I think the 2022 could be a really good year, especially for Sundial, especially for cannabis stocks in general, and even meme stocks. I think that they could come back to a certain extent, especially if they're related to cannabis, right? So that's what we've got on Sundial today. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.